The Brian Mudd Show is on News Radio 610 WIOD.
So my top three takeaways in the previous segment, I focused on the study of studies by Johns Hopkins University. 34 credited studies around the world aggregated, and the net takeaway, statistical static in terms of the impact. Lockdowns, closing essential businesses or non-essential businesses, school closures, you name it. All those related policies, mask mandates, the whole difference boiled down to 0.2%. Just nothingness. And here to talk about this, once again, Dr. Mark Sherwood of the Functional Medical Institute. Dr. Sherwood, good to have you again.
Hey, good to be back, Brian. Good morning. I appreciate you having me back.
Yeah, it's interesting how significant this is, and yet at the same time, it seems as though it has been downplayed in much news media. But when you take a look at the outcomes here, what are your takeaways?
Well, when I saw that story, I mean, not to be funny, but to be funny, I wanted to put it out everywhere with the word "duh" right above it, because I think that we all realize that it hasn't worked, it won't work, and now this study confirms that it did not work. Now, having said that, the interesting thing is, if we did all these 34 studies and compared them, they don't work, and you saw that statistical significantly small number was there that you just pointed out, I'm thinking to myself, why then are we continuing to have some of these particular behaviors that are mandated?
Well, and to that end, and I want to start with the CDC. You've had a lot of organizations, in some cases companies, but even more so government entities, a lot of schools, for example. They've taken their marching orders from the CDC recommendations. And we recall, for example, the CDC coming into this school year, originally they were saying that, no, you don't need masks. Kids don't need to be masked in school. Then we know the American Federation of Teachers got involved and said they wanted a mask mandate. And so then you had the CDC circle the wagons, and they put into their recommendations, masking of all students in school. And that became a huge battle clear across the country, including right here in Florida, which ended up in the courts for that matter. So my question is this. We saw the facts. They don't work. Yet the CDC, and that's just one example on mask, they continue. Right now, if you go to their website, you'll see recommendations that run directly counter to these proven facts. Can we just not trust these health agencies anymore?
Well, short answer to that is absolutely not. And to affirm that point a little more abruptly and accurately is, let's look at the statistics of our health over the last 50 years, Brian. I mean, we have seen our health decline. We know that our diseases are growing faster than our population. We have seen obesity elevate. We've seen the trends get staggering with insulin resistance, autism, etc., childhood diabetes. It's pathetic. So you look at this 50-year trend and you think, well, okay, these are the same people that said they knew what they were doing back then. And clearly, for 50 years, they've failed us. And so my encouragement for people is just look at the trends. I mean, everybody's all about trends these days and models. Look at that model. And when you look at that model, you realize that absolutely we can't trust their advice, because there seems to be a perpetual moving goalpost, as you mentioned earlier, perpetual change of this, change of that. But the results are the same. They're poor. And the poor results need to be at some point held out and say, you know what, we the people of Florida or Oklahoma or whatever, we're going to trust what we know to be true. And mankind has always done pretty darn good. We've always been pretty good about taking care of ourselves. And when the government gets involved in things such as health that we've seen again for the last 50 years, I gotta say, man, I don't trust what they say either anymore.
That is a really good point. Taking a look at the long view on all of this, we tend not to look at it through that prism, but you're absolutely right. It's unfortunate but you're right. Dr. Mark
Well, it
Sherwood.
is. Yeah, it's sad, Brian, but this is a reality, and
Yep.
I don't like it either. But at some point in time, we have to realize that these are the true facts.
Yeah, as I like to say, two sides to stories, one side of facts, and these are them. Dr. Mark Sherwood with the Functional Medical Institute. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again.